Gamers, I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice & Dragons, we are going to be reviewing City Builder Ancient World. This is published by Inside Up Games, a Canadian publisher, so we're always happy to cover some of the local ladies and gentlemen on the channel. And it is designed by Andrei Filip and illustrated by Andrew Dorland. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself.
So first we want to thank Inside Up Games for sending us a review copy of the game. Thank you very much for thinking of Dice & Dragons. We're always happy to get review copies. And we'd like to remind our viewers, whichever one you consider yourselves, that though this is a review copy, our opinion of the game will remain our own.
I'm independent.
So on that note, this is a game that can be played solo, cooperative, competitive. It is for 1 to 4 players, ages 8 and above, and plays in 30 to 60 minutes. We have played the competitive mode before today, and we are set up to play the cooperative mode, and we'll give you our review of both. After that, the solo game, well, maybe Jason will put out another review at some other point and play the solo game. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll take a look at the components before we get to the review. And as it stands right now, there are some great how to play videos, so we're going to be foregoing the how to play section of this. However, if you would like me to cover it, please let me know down below in the video description, and we'll get something out in one of the following weekends. We'll have a nice extra video for our fans and viewers. So I'm going to tell you what you are doing in City Builder Ancient World.
City Builder. Not silly. City.
City Builder Ancient World. I'm going to do my best to explain the basics of the game, the cooperative and the competitive mode. So what you will be doing is you have a starting tile. This is the core of your city. I've got tiles right in front of me. What am I doing? You'll be placing tiles around to construct completed districts. You'll then be placing settlers from a track into those districts. Now, placing those settlers are going to let you score points. Now, with the cooperative track, you have to place them from the beginning of the city gates. On the competitive track, you essentially have these different scales of points, and the way it works at the end is you're going to split it in half with the last settler remaining marking where your points are. So if there's one settler here, well, that means I got all of these points. If there's one settler here, it means Julie got all of those points, and it can be anywhere along the track. Now, you have access to both sides of the track. So, maybe I want to take a settler from Julie's side, but do I really want to? That's just me giving her free points and an opportunity to potentially score more points. But maybe it's something she doesn't want me to take, so it will be worthwhile doing. There are also these monuments. With the cooperative mode, they are more of impediments, whereas in the competitive mode, they can score you lots of points, so don't sleep on them, as they can make the difference between victory and defeat, as we found playing the game. So you will then build your city, and then you're going to score the game to see who is the winner. And with regards to the cooperative mode, you must ensure that you follow the Imperial Edict. Depending on the skill level you're playing at, you must have the right number of monuments in the city, and ensure that the settler track never reaches this nasty skull, because otherwise you will lose the game. So there you have it. I've covered everything about the game. Did I miss anything?
Don't think so.
All right, so now what time is it?
Time to grab our drink.
Grab our best friend.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. This time, we're on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for City Builder Ancient World. We'll start with the rule book. So this rule book is nice and concise. I haven't had too many issues figuring stuff out. There are a few things such as gaining settlers, that are worded in a way that I don't think is very clear. However, these reference cards, which we'll take a look at now, they are dual-sided, so you can see the type of different settlers, and then the phases of the game do clarify a few things, as you can build multiple monuments and claim multiple settlers on your turn. You also have the division between the cooperative mode at the bottom and the competitive mode at the top. So the rulebook isn't too long. It's only 8 pages and has everything you need to play the game. There is also some information with regards to how you can play solo as well, and then just some clarifications, a small FAQ at the back. Now you've got this bag, which is going to serve different purposes depending on the version of the game that you're playing. In the competitive game, it's where you're going to store the competitive monuments. Now we don't have all of the monuments out. These are all double-sided tiles, just so that you can actually appreciate Andrew Dorland's art. And each of these are going to do different things. So as you can see here, gain 2 victory points per populated district in your city with no empty houses. The Temple of Jupiter, gain 3 victory points per temple monument in your city, including this one. So these things can really sway the game in different directions. There are a lot of them. I believe there's 16 in total, if I'm not mistaken, and they'll be coming out of the bag as you play them. Now, in the cooperative game, you also have monuments, but you can tell by the symbol down in the corner which ones are for the co-op, and they are very different. So this monument must be adjacent to 3+ populated districts with lakes. So you have different rules that you have to follow to have them placed in the game. Now during the cooperative mode, that's going to be where you house all of your commoners. So these tiles right here, and then we've got the nobles, sorry, not tiles, these meeples right here, and then we've got the noble meeples that are larger. These are the starting tiles. They are numbered on the back. You can see from 1, 2, 5. These are upside down, but 4, 3. There's a total of 6 of them, and they're all identical. So you're just going to be using these numbers to determine who starts. We've got the token here for the active player. This is the scoring sheet, so just to help you keep track of how you score, commoners, nobles, and keep track of all your points. Here we have the tiles that you're going to be getting in the game. So these are all different. They've got different landmarks in them, empty houses. They're in different shapes, and you'll be using them to fit together with your starting tile to build out your city. And once you've then completed a district, well, you can start placing your commoners and your nobles into your city. We have starting tiles here. We're not going to flip them over. It's quite clear what they are. You've got 3 red starting tiles, 3 blue starting tiles, 3 orange, and 3 green. Now they just have these landmarks to make it easier. But when you look at the tiles, well, I said I wasn't going to flip them over. I will. They are really just all identical starting tiles. Here we've got this nice divider that you'll be using in the box. It's got some reminders for you as to how many tiles per game, and it keeps everything nice and separate. You have these dual-sided tracks. I'll show you how they're dual-sided. This side here is for the competitive mode. This side here is for the cooperative mode. So you can see they are dual-sided. And then the last thing that we need to take a look at are these imperial edicts from the emperor. These are what you need to accomplish in order to succeed with regards to winning the game when you're playing cooperatively. So there you have it. We've taken a look at all of the components for City Builder Ancient World. Now keep it right here, as Julie and I will be coming back at you with our review of the game. So Julie, what do you think of City Builder Ancient World?
We had a couple false starts, I would say. It took us 3 games. Now, luckily, they're not very long, and into the first game, I realized that I had messed up. So we tried it again and died, and then third time's a charm. So I'd say there's some frustrating elements, I think, to
That's the cooperative mode that she's talking about.
Yeah, the co-op mode. Sorry, if you watched the beginning, we said we were going to play co-op mode first. So yeah, so in the co-op mode, there's some frustrating elements, I guess, in the way that the settlers come in. That can be a little bit difficult, especially when we're working together on both tracks. That that top house top settler is the one that has to go first, and you can be building around that. And if you're not talking,
surprise, it's a noble.
Yeah, surprise, it's a noble, or surprise, Jason just took it.
Hey, you weren't talking much either. Don't look at me saying.
So the third game we talked a little bit more, made it a little bit easier. You can't just play your game together. You have to talk for this to work.
Well, I would say this: the first game that we played, if you made a couple of different decisions, we were kind of just playing our own game but working together. So it depends on really what happens. The second game, we had a lot of bad luck. We were drawing a lot of doubles and we were just getting a lot of nobles. And the one thing I would say is if you're playing the game and you're just getting clogged up on nobles, especially if you're playing a 2-player game, I would just, pack it in, restart. You're going to have a very, very hard time dealing with that situation because there's definitely a time crunch.
Yeah. And the third time it was, it was easier. I have to say from a competitive perspective, this is one of these games again, where it's not really in your face. It is a kind of game that you can play your own game, and there's very little player interaction where you can basically cut somebody off or basically try to steal points. But that's not how you're going to win the game. I would definitely say that in the competitive mode, the monuments really do have an impact, and you have to keep an eye on them. And they can be tricky because you have to use the landmarks too. It's not just having the space for them, and to be able to fulfill the requirement. You have to have the landmarks too.
It's the same thing in the cooperative mode. It's just that the landmarks are impediments. In order to succeed, you have to complete a certain percentage of the landmarks. In a 2-player game on beginner, which is what we played, we had to get 3 of 5 landmarks. And I gotta say, that was not easy. I can't imagine playing this on intermediate or hard. I think this might be just a little too puzzly for us on the cooperative side. Not that I didn't enjoy playing it, it's just not something that I'd want to play on a regular basis.
Yeah, this is not. I enjoyed playing it. I think it's one of those games again that I think I'd say I prefer playing competitive than cooperative, just by the way the mechanics work. The cooperative was fun as well. I'm just like Jason said, it's a little more puzzly than I think I enjoy for my type of cooperative game.
Yeah, I don't mind working on a puzzle when it's competitive because I feel like you get rewarded when you're working on that puzzle better than the other player. Whereas this, you were trying to out-puzzle the game mechanics, and they did a great job of making this not easy, which can be frustrating at times. And we definitely felt that frustration, especially in that first game when I think things were going really well. And it's like, if I'd swapped that tile just in a different placement, we wouldn't have been scrapping the game and restarting. We would have been just continuing on, and you would have been like, okay, how do I build my 3rd district and get this going? So I like it. It's fun. It's definitely something that I would play with the right players. I just don't think it suits our play style. That being said, the competitive game, I really enjoyed. It's much easier. Like if you've played Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig, doesn't play exactly like it, but it's a much simpler tile laying game, despite the fact that the scoring feels like it's fairly complicated. It's actually quite straightforward. And once you get into it, you're just going, like, turns are just flying by, and a half hour later in a 2-player game, you're done. Like, we had a great time.
Half an hour, 45 minutes. I have to say, the last game of competitive that we played, both of us thought we were losing. And
I was losing by a point.
I was looking at, what was coming up and what I was placing, and Jason was placing settlers, and I'm a sore loser. I don't like losing. It's one of the reasons we've talked about. One of the reasons I don't like playing competitive games. And I wanted to say to Jason.
Ticket to Ride.
I wanted to say to Jason, let's just stop playing. Let's just stop playing. I don't want to play this anymore. And I thought, I'm just being a sore loser. I'm just going to keep playing it. It's not a long game. And that's what I have to say. I think one of the advantages to that competitive mode is that it's a quick game. So it's not a huge time investment. If this was an hour and a half to 2 hours, I would have been really upset. All that to say, we both thought we were losing, and who won in the end?
I won. I pulled ahead on the monuments. You straight up on the settlers. You beat me by a few points. I think it was 1 to 3 points. You had some better strategy and better tile placements. But at the end, I managed to get 2 monuments in, and those points just really added up, like getting double points for the temples. And then I got the one that just scored my nobles for me again. I was like, oh wow, that's quite nice.
So, that's why I said the monuments are very important, as much as the settlers were important, because I think I ran away with it with more than 3 points more in the settlers. It's your monuments that really pulled you ahead by quite a few points. You ended up beating me, if I remember correctly, by 7 points.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they pulled me at it. I'd forgotten one of them when I calculated up all my monuments, and this is until I made that like shift right at the end of the game. It was kind of like 40. I think it was like 43, and then I calculated up to 42. Then I was like, oh wait, this monument scores all these again.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's an interesting game. I mean, I like the fact that it's the ancient world. It's Rome. It's Greece. It's interesting landmarks. I like that it's colorful and it's good quality components. It's a good.
The insert as well. Sorry to jump in there. I really like the insert. Everything stores very well. I don't have anything in bags. The only thing that I would say that I don't like is the quality of the reference cards. And as we do enjoy the game and it's easy to play, I'll probably sleeve them just to keep them protected. It's only 4 sleeves, and that's the only thing I'm not too happy with.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to add. It's a puzzly type of tile laying game. It's fun. I enjoyed it. I like the fact that it's a quick game.
Yeah, I gotta say, I agree with Julie. The competitive game, the flow of it, I was really sure this was going to be more complicated just reading the rule book. Few issues that I found with the rule book is just I don't think everything is laid out as clearly as it could be. Now, the reference cards do have a couple clarifications. I think that it's just a little bit on the... it's using some more complicated verbiage and instead of just making things clear. I'm a big fan of rule books that say, you can do this. It's in there. It's written, but it's just not in that clear, concise sentence. Now, you do have it on your reference card, so pay attention to that. We just made a few mistakes on our first play. It's like we weren't placing a lot of settlers or placing multiple monuments, provided that we'd, built our city for that type of a setup and a combo. So we really weren't placing the combos. We were just placing one by one. And while I still think we had a fun game and it was even, it was a lot more interesting when you're building out your city and then you're like, oh, phew, I'm grabbing all these guys. But then they can also blow up in your face because guess what? She gets a combo before me and I'm like, one more turn. No. And I think it was a little bit of that vice versa, which is why she felt she was losing. She had this combo going and I'm like, no, that's all mine now. Then you got to shift and pivot and go in a different direction. But it was easy to do. That's what I really liked about this. It's hard for someone to have analysis paralysis. I mean, you can spend a few minutes just, rotating your tile and seeing exactly where it's going to go, but it's not that difficult. So really like the game. I enjoy the cooperative mode. I might actually think it could be more fun solo. It feels like, just the puzzle elements, like maybe it's just more fun playing by yourself when you don't have to work together. Not that we don't enjoy working together, but we don't do puzzles together, and this is probably the equivalent of us putting together a puzzle, not 1,000 pieces.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, you're each working on your own city. You just have to try to work with limited resources coming in that way. So, are you ready to give it your score?
I'm ready to give the score. You ran the show on this one, so I'm going to let you go first.
I ran the show. I don't think so.
I think so.
I'm going to give it a 6.5.
A 6.5?
I'm hesitating, honestly, between a 6.5 and a 7. I think I would give the cooperative mode a 6.5, and I'd give the competitive mode a 7. So, like 6.75.
I think this game is more of a 7 than anything else. It's nice to have the cooperative mode. It's nice to also be able to play solo. But I really like the way this plays competitively. I like it at 2 players. One of the reasons why I'm not necessarily scoring this higher is because depending on who you're playing with, and we played 2 players around 45 minutes, I could see this at 3 or 4 players clearing the hour mark, and I'm not sure how I would feel about that. If this played like a half hour, probably would if you played a lot with 4 players, I think I'd rate this even higher. Because I like the fact that we can get this to the table, play it quickly, and have a lot of fun with this game. So, really great game. Maybe not the favorite type that we like to play, but for what it does as a tile laying game, it definitely excels, and I'd probably recommend this over Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Which you gave a fairly strong score to, if I remember correctly.
It was a 7 or a 7.5, and so maybe I'm going a little low on this one. I'll have to maybe check back my Ludwig score. Maybe you'll see something pop up and say like, no, it's a 7.5 or something like that. But definitely, I think this is a solid 7, and that's for the overall package. I think maybe that we're giving it a little bit of lower score as we're coming off of playing the cooperative mode, which really wasn't our favorite. But everything else about the game we enjoy.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have new content for you.
And take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing City Builder Ancient World, there are plenty on those feeds. Also, if you're looking to pick up a copy of the game, check out our link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link, get 10% off your next purchase, and it's a great way for you to support the channel as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. So definitely make sure to check them out. Then popping up in front of me are going to be links to some of our previously released videos. Over here will be our most recent release, and since it's probably the game in the most similar vein, we will have our review of Between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig in front of Julie. And on that note, we need to
Grab our drink.
grab our best friend.
Okay, keep playing games.
Keep playing games. I wonder if your parents will play this one. I think they'd like it more than Between Two Castles.
I can't see them playing this.
Maybe your mom.
No.